Hello everyone, welcome back to my look at the 7DRL entries of 2014. I covered the top 5 and now I'm running through what I consider to be the runners-up, the honourable mentions. This one is Mysterious Space and it very, very nearly didn't make the list. With good reason. You'll notice that in the title there, where it says Mysterious Space, a 7DRL, the 7DRL bit has been crossed out. And this is kind of a borderline case, because I played the 7DRL version, and that wouldn't have made the list. It was kind of a horizontal space shooter, like a, I don't know, an R-type kind of thing, with sort of procedurally generated enemy layouts and that kind of thing. Not a great deal of roguelikeness to it at all, but more importantly, it wasn't very exciting. I liked the kernels of ideas that were there. There were a couple of interesting ideas, ways to implement roguelike-ish features into that format, but it wasn't done all that well. So that wouldn't have made the list. But then recently, I played this, which is the version that has been worked on since the end of the 7DRL contest. So some might argue that it shouldn't really be in the list, but it is. So tough. It's my list. So this is the post-7DRL version of Mysterious Space, and it's actually changed a lot. It's become much more exploratory, much more of a free-roaming thing, and much more roguelike-ish. A lot of people still wouldn't consider it a roguelike, and I think that's a fair point, but it definitely has roguelike qualities to it, as you'll see. So let's get started in a new game, because there is, of course, permadeath. So, scientists have detected a strange signal originating from sector ZZ Omega 9. Could it be the power source humanity needs for survival? Survival from what? I don't know. It's your mission to investigate and return with that information. Good luck, pilot! So, we get to name the ship. I'm going to call mine T-ship. Because why not? Once owned by the infamous pirate Bipsy Avedon, your ship received heavy modifications for this mission, but still sports its original blue stripes. Oh yes. So, here we have basically what would be the progression of floors if it was a dungeon crawler. So you can see that it does kind of still have that dungeon-y structure in a way. Each of these levels is kind of like a floor. On some of them, there's only one option, and on some, like level 0 here, we can choose from a couple of options. And what we're doing here, basically, is we are looking for fuel sources. There was some kind of intro text that explained this. I assumed it would pop up every time, but it seems it doesn't. Basically, we are trying to get to this destination, as it mentioned, to find something to save humanity, but we're running into problems along the way. Some kind of mysterious force is slowing us down, which means we're burning more fuel. And the only way we've been able to figure out to get to our destination is to stop at all these star systems along the way and pick up fuel from the planets they're in. So, our objective basically is to get through these 9 tiers of planets. I don't know what happens when you get to the end because I haven't finished it. I haven't managed to get beyond about 2 or 3 floors at this point. So, we can choose between a desolate planet or an ocean planet. Desolate looks basically like Defender. So in the interest of giving you something slightly more scenic to look at right off the bat, I'm going to go for the prettier ocean level. Let's go. Controls are very simple. Either W, A, S and D to move around, or you can use the arrow keys. I prefer to use W, A, S, D and Shift to shoot. If you press Escape, you can pop up your items and your upgrades. Tab through to the upgrades there. You can pick up upgrade parts around the levels, which you can then spend on upgrading your ship. Though, of course, when your ship is destroyed, it's all over, and you have to start over from scratch, from the beginning of the adventure with a new, unupgraded ship and whatnot. You can save your progress, and here you can look at items that you pick up during the levels. At the moment, we only have our starting equipment, but we will soon find more stuff, as you will see. So, we're under the water here. Some planet types actually have kind of atmospheric effects. There are kind of volcanic planets that are a bit like this in that the surface of the planet is covered with lava rather than water. And you actually move more slowly when you're in the lava, and your shots and enemy shots move more slowly as well. One useful feature here, I'll just note, since I'm flying around shooting at stuff, is that while you're shooting, holding shift down to shoot, you continue to face in the same direction, so you don't have to deal with turning around all the time. That Tetris-like thing there is an alien artifact, so if we pop the menu open, you'll notice we now have this grey alien artifact. And this is where some of the roguelike-ishness starts to come in. These alien artifacts are the equivalent of scrolls and potions and that kind of thing in most roguelikes. They are unidentified and can have a variety of effects, which you can really only discover by using them. So we'll use this one now. Doubles the firing rate of your first weapon for 10 seconds. So some of them have very fleeting effects like that, and some of them have longer term effects. One, for instance, completely refills your shield bar, for instance, so that's kind of a more permanent effect. You also get mysterious equipment, which you can use to replace your default equipment here, but you can only identify it between missions, not within a level. So, what we're looking for here is... So you've got a faster fire rate there, but only for a brief time. What we're looking for here, basically, is 3 crystals, which we can use as fuel. Taking an unnecessary number of hits there. If you look in the top left, you'll notice that my shield bar was almost depleted, but it's recharging. My armor bar is also almost depleted and is not recharging. So we actually took quite a lot of damage there. We haven't started taking hull damage yet, but I did take some quite severe armor damage by allowing my shield to become depleted. So basically you roam down into the caves, which are described on the developer's website as having in his opinion, a slightly Terraria kind of feel. And I can see that. Not so much in some of the levels like the lava levels and that kind of thing, and the desolate ones, which as you saw are quite sort of spacey, they're like the surface of the moon. But this kind of one, the ones that are quite green and blue and lush seeming, yeah, I do get that Terraria feel. Oops. As you're plunging down, searching for your crystals. So, you saw me pick one up a minute ago. Probably should have pointed that out at the time. Don't know what the slightly jerky scrolling was about there. That doesn't usually happen. But yeah, we picked up 1 fuel crystal. We need to find 2 more, so 3 per level. And they're always buried, at least in my experience so far. Oh, that was crap. Didn't do very well at all there. I'll give it the same name again. Oh, so we have lava and desert this time. Well, I'll show you lava so you can see what I mean about the speed retarding effect. So you'll see we fly more slower in lava, and our shots travel a bit slower as well, and so do enemy shots, which makes them easier to dodge. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, based on my experience so far, the fuel crystals are always way down towards the bottom. That's going to be an upgrade point there. I think we can't upgrade within the level yet. But once we get off this planet, we will be able to buy an upgrade. Yeah, in my experience, the fuel crystals are generally basically about as far down as you can go. So you basically just explore all of these caves and whatnot on each planet, looking for the 3 fuel crystals. Having found all 3 of them, you can then basically just fly back up into space, and you will exit the level. And a little arrow will flash at the top of the screen to prompt you to do that if you haven't realised that you've picked up all the crystals. And then you can move on to the next level, and in between you can have a bit of a break to fiddle with your equipment and check out any mysterious items that you've picked up. The potion-esque items, the consumables, there's a fuel crystal. The consumables can only be used within the level, and the equipment can only be used between levels. So, different items are usable at different times. But yeah, you do this 10 times and then, well, I don't know what happens then. I don't know whether there's a final level or a boss fight or what, but because I haven't got that far. But that's the objective. Get through 10 rather. 0 to 9. I don't know why the first one is called 0, but there it is. Alright, we need to get down here really. Okay. So, what do I think of the game? Well, the fact that it's in my honourable mentions for the 7DRL contest this year should indicate that I quite like it, at least. These are basically the games that I think are worth playing, but not good enough to have made the top list. And this is pretty decent. I'm having quite a lot of fun with it, simply because it's so easy to dip into. The controls aren't complex and elaborate and fiddly like a lot of roguelikes, because, you know, in many ways it's not really a roguelike. It's more of a roguelike-influenced kind of roaming space shooter. But I find it quite good fun. It is challenging. As I said, I generally don't get beyond 2, maybe 3 levels. Crap! Because you take a lot of damage. Even just 1 or 2 shots will do a lot of damage. My ship's going to be called Poo this time. Okay, let's go for an ocean planet. Usually I do at least succeed in getting through the first planet, but as those of you who've ever done YouTube commentary, live YouTube commentary, will know, it's actually a lot harder to play when you're devoting a portion of your concentration to yakking to an invisible audience. So let's go this way. You can explore in either direction, which is a feature that immediately appealed to me when I started playing this. The fact that you can just choose to fly left, and it's a very limited open world, but what world there is quite open, if you see what I mean. So I picked up an artifact there. I don't know whether that's equipment. Okay, let's just try these out. And any that you have identified, you can see you can press the delete key or the B key to chuck it away. I think the A and B references there are indicating that you can use a controller, but I've tried plugging my controller in and it doesn't work with this game, so I don't know what that's about. So I'm playing with the keyboard, but yeah, let's just try these out. That fully repaired my hull, which I didn't think had sustained much damage, if any. And try this one. Reduces shields. No! So like a roguelike, some of the items you find will actually have negative effects. And that's the reason that I think this is worth playing, certainly more than the original 7DRL version was. I might actually edit in a bit of footage of the 7DRL version at the end of this video, just for comparison's sake, if I remember to do it. But it was very orange, as I recall, and it was basically just fly to the right, shoot enemies, which just disappeared when shot. They didn't explode or anything. The graphics were similar, but like the sprites were similar, but the backgrounds and the levels and things were much, much more basic, and the gameplay was a lot less enjoyable and a lot less varied. But some of the ideas that we see here were implemented in the original version, but since the contest ended, the developers really taken those ideas and run with them in a more interesting direction. So we found our third fuel cube here. Oh, god damn it! I just wanted to grab that item before I left. But anyway, I think that'll do it for now. This at least gives you an idea of how the game plays, because that is basically how it works. Different levels have slightly differing selections of enemies. That's one of my criticisms, is there isn't enough enemy variety. But you do get some different kinds of enemies, a bit of different kinds of environments. It's very simple, and it's not that roguelike-ish. You know, it is a real-time shooter in many ways, and those are the reasons that it wouldn't have made my top 5. But I do think it's worth playing. It is pretty fun, and it's very easy to dip into for short periods, and extremely easy to pick up and learn, much more so than a sort of true, in inverted commas, roguelike. Anyway, I think I'll now edit in some footage from the old 7DRL version, so don't go anywhere. Okay, so here is the original 7DRL version of Mysterious Space. This is the one that was actually completed within the 7-day span of the contest. So strictly speaking, you could argue that strictly this is the one I should be considering. And this would not have made the cut for reasons that will become apparent. So I'm going to call my ship, I don't know, hat stand, because I have hats on the brain today apparently. And you can see that the basic briefing and the level select thing and all of that are fairly similar. But where these look like they're showing you lots of different worlds, you will see that they're not that exciting. So here, we just have kind of a purple starfield with a purple kind of landmass, which actually is just background. Look, I can fly right through it. And it's just kind of a horizontally scrolling shooter. These things are much the same as in the other version, but if I manage to hit any of these ships that swoop in, you will notice that they just disappear. They don't explode or anything, which is a little odd. So grab some of these items. If we pop open the menu, you'll see we have similar menu here. We can select our items. That's a piece of equipment, equipable between levels, and this is an item that we can use right now. Don't know what that did. Doesn't seem to be a message that tells me. It did something. And this is the game. This is actually one of the more interesting looking levels. A lot of them are just that blank starfield in one colour or another. I seem to get the orange one a lot. But there are sort of turquoise ones and green ones and whatnot. A lot of them don't have this pretend landmass at the top and bottom. Then you just have the starfield, which is obviously pretty tedious. And I don't know if watching the video really conveys how boring this is, but it is very boring. And I find that the best way to get through the levels is not to shoot continuously, which is kind of standard form for a side-scrolling shooter. It's actually to shoot as little as possible, because a lot of the time destroying enemies just causes more trouble than it's worth. So I find a lot of the time it's better to just dodge and take out the odd easy enemy here and there for item pickups. Yeah, very boring. This would not have made the cut even in the runners-up section. But it does have a couple of core ideas which made it into a much better game later on. So the mystery items and equipment, that kind of stuff. The fact that enemies are in a procedural layout, yeah, all of that, fine. But the other version, the post-7DRL version, made it much more exploratory. And for me, that really captured more of what a roguelike is about. It's still not very roguelike-ish in many ways. But it did capture that exploration, hunting for things, being surrounded by waves of enemies, and of course the cave layouts in those levels are procedurally generated. So this version, wouldn't really recommend playing it, although I will link to it below if you want to give it a go for yourself. But more importantly, I will link to the post-7DRL version, the one we were looking at before, with all its fun exploration and prettier environments and whatnot. I do recommend giving it a go, because it's pretty fun, it's pretty lightweight, and it's very easy to dip into for quick play sessions. So, this has been Mysterious Space. Thanks for watching, as always. Rejoin me the next time for more game-related stuff and the rest of my honourable mentions for the 7DRL contest of 2014. Until then, bye for now.